Buying the wrong family car is one of the easiest ways to set money on fire without technically committing arson, and somehow, people still shop for cars like they're picking a Netflix show. This one looks cool, that one has nice lights. This dashboard makes me feel like a fighter pilot. Fantastic. Meanwhile, the thing costs tens of thousands of dollars, eats a chunk of your paycheck every month, and will absolutely punish you for making an emotional decision in a fluorescent dealership at 4 p.m. So let's settle the question properly. If you're buying a car for home and family use, should you get a gas car, an electric car, or a hybrid? Because right now, the internet is full of car tribes. Gas car people act like EVs are giant smartphones on wheels that will die dramatically in a supermarket parking lot. EV fans act like buying gasoline is something people only do if they still own a fax machine. And hybrid owners just sit quietly in the middle, saving money and avoiding everyone. Honestly, there's something admirable about that. But this is not a religion. It's not a personality test. It's not about joining Team Vroom Vroom or Team Silent Spaceship. It's a money decision, a lifestyle decision, a what kind of inconvenience do you want to pay for decision. And here's the short version before we do the full breakdown. For some families, an EV is absolutely the smartest choice. For some, a gas car still makes the most sense. But for a surprisingly large number of normal households, the hybrid may be the boring, unsexy, financially correct answer, which is perfect, because personal finance has always been less about looking cool and more about not being stupid expensively. 1. First, stop asking which one is best. Ask which one fits your life. This is the biggest mistake people make. They ask, which type of car is better? That is the wrong question. The right question is, which type of car is better for me? Because a car is not just a product, it's a long-term financial relationship. It has an upfront price, fuel or charging costs, maintenance, insurance, depreciation, repairs, and all the delightful surprises that come with turning a machine into your family's daily lifeline. A gas car, an EV, and a hybrid all win in different situations. So the smartest buyer is not looking for the universal winner. The smartest buyer is looking for the least painful total ownership experience over the next 5 to 10 years. That means you need to think about 1. Your budget. 2. Your driving habits. 3. Where you live. 4. Whether you can charge at home. 5. How long you plan to keep the car. And 6. How much unpredictability you are willing to tolerate. Because some people want low running costs. Some want low upfront costs. Some want maximum convenience. Some want to never think about charging stations, battery range, or whether cold weather just stole 20% of their plans. All of those are valid. 2. Gas cars. Still alive, still practical, still annoyingly useful. Let's start with gas cars, because despite what some corners of the internet would like to believe, they are not ancient technology from a forgotten empire. Gas cars still dominate for a reason. The biggest strengths of gas cars are simple. They're usually easier to buy, especially on a tighter budget. If you're shopping used or trying to keep upfront costs low, gas cars give you the most options. Refueling is fast and easy. Gas stations are everywhere. You stop, refill, and leave. No apps, no chargers. No estimated wait time. No discovering that the only available charging station is behind a hotel, next to a hedge, and apparently guarded by confusion. They're still the easiest option for long road trips, rural areas, and unpredictable driving. If your family does a lot of highway miles, weekend trips, or spontaneous driving, gas is still the least complicated system. There's less lifestyle adjustment. A gas car asks almost nothing from you except occasional money and emotional resilience. Now, the downside. Gas cars usually lose the ownership cost battle over time. They need more maintenance. They have more moving parts. They drink fuel more expensively. They also come with all the classic nonsense. Oil changes, exhaust issues, engine repairs, transmission anxiety, and that fun moment when a check engine light turns on and your wallet immediately gets sweaty. So gas cars are not bad. In fact, for some families, they're still the right move. But they are usually the easiest to buy and the most expensive to keep feeding and fixing over the long run. 3. Electric cars. Amazing for the right family, annoying for the wrong one. Now let's talk about EVs, also known as the option that makes some people feel like they're living in the future, and other people feel like they're beta testing an expensive appliance. The best thing about an EV is that, for the right household, it can be incredibly convenient. If you can charge at home, the experience is fantastic. You wake up every morning with what is basically a full tank. That alone changes the ownership experience in a huge way. Electricity is often cheaper per mile than gasoline, especially if you charge at home during cheaper off-peak hours. EVs usually have lower routine maintenance, no oil changes, no engine, fewer moving parts, less mechanical drama. They're quiet, smooth, and surprisingly pleasant for everyday family driving. School runs, grocery trips, commuting, errands, EVs are really good at boring life, and boring life is most of family life. But here's the important part. EVs are not automatically the smartest choice for everyone. If you cannot charge at home, an EV becomes much less attractive. Public charging is often more expensive, less convenient, and much more annoying than the marketing makes it look. Just charge while you shop sounds great until you realize you now plan errands around battery percentage like it's a second part-time job. EVs also tend to cost more upfront, though that gap has narrowed in some cases. And while maintenance is usually lower, insurance can be higher on some models, and depreciation can be a little wild depending on the brand, incentives, and pricing games manufacturers play. Also, road trips in EVs are getting better, but better is not the same as easy as gas. If your family does frequent long-distance driving and you value simplicity, gas still wins that round. So EVs are excellent if your lifestyle matches them. If you have home charging, mostly local driving, predictable routines, and you keep the car long enough to benefit from the lower running costs, an EV can be a very smart buy. If you don't have those things, the math gets a lot less romantic. 4. Hybrids. The most boring answer, which is why it may be the smartest one. Now let's talk about the middle child, the hybrid. The car that gets less hype, less tribal loyalty, and way more eye rolls from people who think sensible decisions should come with laser beams. And yet, for many households, hybrids are the sweet spot. A hybrid gives you 1. Much better fuel economy than a regular gas car. 2. No charging stress. 3. Familiar refueling. 4. Good day-to-day practicality. And 5. Often a very balanced long-term ownership experience. That's the magic. It solves a lot of problems without asking you to change your life. You don't need a charger in your garage. You don't need to hunt for public charging. You don't have to care about range in winter. You just drive it like a normal car, except you spend less on fuel and often get excellent reliability from well-proven hybrid systems. That's why hybrids can be the best answer for families who want efficiency but do not want homework. Are hybrids perfect? No. They're usually more expensive than a comparable gas car up front. And while they often cost less to run than a gas car, they usually won't beat a well-used EV on day-to-day energy cost, if that EV is charged cheaply at home. But hybrids are often the best compromise. They are the I want better fuel economy, lower hassle, and fewer regrets option. They are the khakis of the car world. Not thrilling, very useful, suspiciously correct. 5. Upfront price versus total cost? This is where the real fight happens. Most car buyers focus too much on the sticker price and not enough on total cost of ownership. That is how people end up bragging about saving money on the purchase, while quietly bleeding cash for years afterward. A smarter comparison looks like this. A gas car often wins on initial price, especially used. That matters if cash flow is tight. If buying the EV or hybrid means overextending yourself financially, congratulations! You have already made the car too expensive. An EV often loses on upfront price, but can make up ground later through lower energy and maintenance costs. The key phrase is can make up ground. Not always, not for everybody. If you barely drive, or electricity is expensive where you live, or you rely heavily on public charging, the savings may show up very slowly or barely at all. A hybrid often lands in the middle, more expensive than gas, less disruptive than EV, cheaper to operate than gas, and easier to live with than full electric for many families. This is why the winning choice depends heavily on mileage. If you drive a lot, efficiency matters more. If you drive very little, lower fuel or charging costs matters less, and paying extra upfront may not be worth it. The more miles you drive, the more hybrids and EVs start looking attractive. The less you drive, the more a simple, affordable gas car can still make perfectly rational sense. 6. Maintenance and reliability. Fewer moving parts usually means fewer headaches. Let's be honest, family cars don't just need to move, they need to behave, and this is where maintenance matters. Gas cars are the most maintenance-heavy. They have engines, transmissions, exhaust systems, belts, fluids, and enough complexity to keep mechanics employed forever. That doesn't mean gas cars are unreliable. It means there are simply more things to age, fail, leak, or throw a tantrum. EVs generally win on routine maintenance, fewer moving parts, no oil changes, less drivetrain complexity. That's a major advantage over time. But when EV problems do happen, especially electronic or battery-related issues outside warranty, they can be expensive, and not every repair shop handles them equally well. Hybrids sit in an interesting middle ground. People often assume hybrids are maintenance nightmares because they combine two systems. In reality, many hybrids have proven to be extremely dependable. They reduce wear on some components through regenerative braking, and their overall ownership experience can be very solid. So, if we're talking routine maintenance burden, the ranking is usually EV easiest, hybrid close behind, gas most demanding. But reliability is not just about the number of oil changes. It's also about how easy it is to service, how mature the technology is, and how much nonsense you want to deal with when something goes wrong. 7. Convenience matters more than car nerds like to admit. Car discussions online love specs, range, horsepower, battery size, torque, 0 to 60, cool, very exciting. Meanwhile, the average family is trying to answer a much more important question. Will this thing make my week easier or harder? Gas cars win on universal convenience. Everyone knows how they work. Fueling is fast, infrastructure is everywhere, no planning required. EVs win big if you have home charging. That's the catch. With home charging, daily life can be easier than gas. Without it, daily life can be more annoying than gas. One feature completely changes the experience. Hybrids are convenient in the most old-fashioned way possible. They don't ask much from you. They quietly save fuel while behaving like a normal car. That's a huge reason they appeal to families. If you live in a house with a garage and stable routines, an EV can feel wonderfully convenient. If you live in an apartment, park on the street, or share parking with 500 other humans and one suspiciously aggressive raccoon, then no, the EV experience may not be magical. 8. So which one is best for different kinds of families? Let's make this practical. If you have a house, can charge at home, mostly drive locally, and keep cars for a long time, an EV is often a great choice. Lower running costs, low maintenance, and very convenient day to day. If you do a lot of mixed driving, want better fuel economy, but don't want to depend on charging, a hybrid is often the smartest all-around family option. If your budget is tight, you buy used, you drive long distances often, or you live somewhere with weak charging infrastructure, a gas car still makes a lot of sense. If you live in an apartment and can't charge easily, a hybrid usually beats an EV for convenience and practicality. If you barely drive at all, paying a big premium for an EV may not make financial sense. In that case, a reliable gas car or hybrid may be the better buy. See? Not ideology, just fit. 9. The final verdict. So, gas, electric, or hybrid, which one should a family buy? If you want the simplest answer, here it is. For many average families, the hybrid is probably the safest, smartest middle ground choice. It gives you better fuel economy, avoids charging headaches, and fits into normal life with very little adjustment. It is the least dramatic answer, which is exactly why it is often the best money answer. If your home setup and driving habits clearly favor electric, then an EV can absolutely be the winner. For the right family, it can be cheaper to run, easier day to day, and genuinely enjoyable to own. If money is tight up front, road trip flexibility matters a lot, or charging would be a hassle, a gas car is still a perfectly sensible option. Not flashy, not trendy, still useful. The real mistake is not choosing gas, EV, or hybrid. The real mistake is buying the car that looks best online instead of the one that works best in your real life. Because the best family car is not the one that wins internet arguments. It's the one that costs you the least stress, the least regret, and the fewest expensive surprises. And in personal finance, that is about as close to romance as most of us are going to get.